I do want you to define what chronic pain is, number one, and then just give us two stories, two avatars of someone that came, possibly a male and female, came through, had tried multiple other interventions, and then went the psychedelic route. We have had quite a few episodes on psychedelics. We work with a psychiatrist here that sits on my scientific advisory board. So the audience and the viewers have some type of understanding, but the reason I'm having you on is that you have the understanding with regards to chronic pain. Now, yes, depression and yes, anxiety, and those are important, but I don't want people not to get any information with regards to the importance of dealing with chronic pain.
So chronic pain, as it's generally defined, say by the IASP, so International Association for the Study of Pain, right, is considered to be pain that usually is persisting beyond 3 months, 3 to 6 months. And this is pain that seems to serve no useful survival purpose, right? And so it can be in the expectation or fear of tissue damage, you get this pain signal. It doesn't actually have to be tissue damage happening. It doesn't actually have to be, you know, something that's directly physically contacting you. It's the threat of pain. And for a lot of people, you know, we're still operating with this Cartesian model of pain, which is like 400 years old, where it's like, okay, you see a cherub, its foot is in a fire, there's a nerve running up its leg that's sending a signal of damage, you know, and that goes somewhere to a pain center in the brain, but this is completely wrong. So pain isn't a sensation that's an input ascending the spine to the nervous system. Pain is actually it's not a sensation, it's a perception that is an output of the central nervous system. And usually it's a summation of all the incoming data when we're healthy. It's usually a summation of all the incoming receptor data from our body. It travels through the thalamus, you know, projects to multiple structures in the brain, and then a conclusion is made. It's like, is it safe? Is it not safe? And then how should we react to this depending on the context? What's threatening to a kindergarten teacher is not threatening to a Navy SEAL, right? So then more likely than not, that pain is somehow unaddressed for some period, not always, but unaddressed in some way for some period. And the body starts to, in this cortical receptor loop, we see it running over and over again until it becomes entrenched. So in the same way that someone with depression can have what's called this energy minima, or this entrenchment around, say, a negative thought, usually this top-down processing where, like, I suck, I'll never be good at anything, you know, they're just saying that to be nice, like these automatic negative thoughts. It's the same thing with chronic pain in many ways, right? Where it's like a faulty, the common analogy now, it's a faulty alarm system where, you know, the wind rattles the window and off goes it's too sensitive, right? But eventually it could be that there's just short circuits in the in the wiring, and that's causing it to fire, or there's something wrong with the fuzzy logic board in the alarm, and that's causing it to fire for no reason at all, in complete absence of any input or any threat. So one example I can use is, and forgive me for one of our solar retreat clients was a 30-year veteran who, over the course of trying to deal with some fairly significant orthopedic issues, had a military medical malpractice happen where her leg got compressed by the strap on the gurney, causing denervation of her lateral femoral cutaneous nerve. So totally choked off the blood supply. And so she developed CRPS out of that, right? And then that proceeded on to full body CRPS. Eventually, so she has 20 years suffer of chronic CRPS, 2 severe foot neuromas, glossodynia, which is burning mouth syndrome, that's fairly rare, as well as PTSD and depression. We did, you know, 6 plus, really 8 plus weeks of pre-mapping where we're doing pretty comprehensive neural evaluations. So quantitative, qualitative, sensory testing, working on her visual vestibular system, looking for things that were partially responsive, right? And just priming the nervous system. Then we went to our immersive retreat for 6 days, did 3 dosing sessions, but we had already worked out all the regressions that would be necessary um, while she's in this non-ordinary state of consciousness. And we were able to restore motor function to her toes that had not moved in 7 years within 90 minutes. And the same thing for a fairly intensive surgery on her thumb that had left her unable to use that hand effectively. So very, very rapid turnaround. But fascinatingly, we were also to completely, and I mean completely, turn off the CRPS in her lateral thigh, which she had been wearing shorts up until that point, right? And then we found out she had these very intensive social stressors, social and emotional stressors that were contributing to her glossidynia, and could turn it off at will now. And now it's starting to do that spontaneously. And the foot neuromas that would be at level 10, stepping out of the bed, right? Gone. She started
Wow.
being able to do calf. I never, and I just want to stress this, I never promised this stuff would happen to her.
Yeah.
I said, these are things that we're looking at. This is what we're hopeful for. It was stunning that we got as much done as we were able to. And her PTSD scores just dropped off the chart.